price goes up.
All right, all right. Hello, hello. Welcome everyone back to yet another very happy hour show. I'm joined
Hello, sir.
by I was waiting for the pop there. There
There it
there it
is.
is. I'm joined by two of the coolest cats in the Hexagon community. Of course, everybody is used to seeing Big K on the show. How you doing, Big K?
Fantastic.
And we have doing his media tour. It's his happy hour stop this week. Access Alive down there, man. How you doing?
Wonderful, man. Thanks for having me on the show. It's been a minute. Probably 2 months maybe since we last got together. I know one of the last times we got together, we did like a Hedron panel. Was that with you, or I can't
Yep.
remember if we did that with you? Yep. Okay.
Or I
That
did
would have
one,
been
but yeah, we had
November,
a
maybe. I think.
yeah, I think
It's like
so.
6 of us with
Right when
Motley
the
and
auction started, I think. Yeah.
that was a good one. There's
Sloth
a lot of good
was in
ideas.
there.
Sloth was in there. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really fun. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm glad to be back, and there's a lot of good, interesting stuff going on in the RH ecosystem, and generally, like the markets right now, really are undecided on what they're really thinking about right now. We don't know up, down, left, right, backwards. We just kind of going with the flow right now, and we're fat and happy, staked. So it's all good.
Nice. And I've actually had the pleasure of meeting both these fine gents in person. Although it's been too long, so we need to do that again. But
Yeah.
For real.
I'm East Coast now. Are you still like across some water or something, Eric? Or do you? I don't know where
I
you're
am
at anymore.
still Puerto Rican living.
All right,
Island
cool.
time. I'm an island
I'm
boy.
an
Island boy.
Just trying to make it. Shout out to Hex Kong.
I saw an article that was like those dudes dropped off the face of the earth, and I was like, I didn't know they ever were on it. So okay.
We are
Anyway.
covering continents this stream. Australia, Netherlands. So yeah, what is up, everybody? A lot of faces in the chat that I'm used to seeing and not seeing, probably because of this excellent chart moon guest we have down here. Who else is
I really
here?
do appreciate all the support, you guys. It's been awesome doing like the tour de media. So
Tour de
not gonna
media.
stop. Yeah, it's
I'm
not
in.
gonna stop. The Hex chart's too fun right now. So stick with me. There's more awesomeness to come.
Sloth in the chat. So is Crypto Stylist. I'm going to pretend that kiss on the cheek is for me. Crypto Gains Club. He's just staking and chilling. We got Hex Turbo LFG. We got, this guy, Freddie Quotes. What's up, my man? We got Agenda 69, which means I believe the raid has happened. And there it is. DJ Cryptomatic was doing the reggae jam fest. And we were listening to it in the green room.
He's got to do a reggaeton. He's got to do a reggaeton theme now. Like, I mean, it's Bad Bunny's blowing up worldwide, man. Come get that Puerto Rican action. Come on, man. Cryptomatic. Add some in there.
Tobla Ruse from the Alberta, I believe. Crypto Conscious, what's up? Rocket, what's up? Come over tomorrow. Well, isn't it supposed to like rain and snow? It sounds like a terrible idea. I'm just kidding. What's up, Freddie? Yes, we'll start off with a basic question. What's a t-shirt? No. Beards in the chat. We have Victoria, Crypto Wash, Dingo Wolf, Valerie T-Share. I'll access. You can take that one.
Yeah, big shout out to Valerie. She's been very supportive for a long time. She's kick ass on Twitter.
She's all over the place.
And always showing the support.
Yep, see her a lot in many streams actually. Yo, Hexicans, what's up? I saw Briz. Who else? Hex Sailing. So yeah, we've actually had. I mean, we have a large audience right now, and considering the stream is only a few minutes old, and Big K, we were kind of joking in the green room. It's funny how a little positive price action perks up the mood and the interest amongst fam.
Oh yeah.
So
I had a couple friends. I had a couple people hit me up recently that Hex had been so down for so long. They hit me up and were like, "Hey, can you teach me how to unstake my stakes?" And then they sent me
not emergency end stake.
No. But
okay.
no, worse than that. They had fallen off so hard during the downturn that like my one buddy was like 67 days late. You know, I'm like, dog, you're just bleeding fucking dough here. What the fuck is it?
Oh,
so,
man.
you know, I had to save some people along the way here, but that's what happens. That's what happens when things go low. Everyone starts disappearing.
There you go.
But good to see everyone back. Hey, everybody.
You're not the only one, man. I've been getting hit up by people that haven't talked to me in like 1 or 2 years. Like, hey, how do you end this Hex stake? Like,
yeah, buddy of mine. That's funny. Like, we can all share our stories, I guess. I was having dinner with him this past Monday, and I tried to get him to DCA at 2 cents because I know his original buy was like, I don't know, closer to 20 or whatever. And I've been trying for months. And he didn't do it, never did. So we haven't mentioned Hex for months. And then at dinner on Monday, hey, that Hex is moving. It was like, yeah, it is. And you could have had like triple your bag.
You have 3 times as much now.
Or your DCA. What's that? Axis?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You were just saying,
dude. Well, I mean, shit. Like, I got stories of people that are trying to get people in throughout the bear market. Most of it's within the last 3 or 4 months, between like, you know, I would say 3.5 cents down to the bottom. And I mean, these people are sitting on like an amount of dough that's actually meaningful if you get it in like at the bottom. Like, we're talking like $1 to $10 million of sideline money that, you know, they want to put into the investments. They want to get exposure to crypto, and then they just wait. Like, it's like, what are you waiting for? Like, how do you get to that level of wealth and not have some sort of like a sense of urgency when it comes to your investing side of it? Like, that's what I'm curious of, because like my whole plan moving forward is like, how can I best position myself to always be on the edge and find that next thing? The problem that I'm having is that nothing has been better for me or has the right risk profile / mad gains as like the Hex T-share does. And, you know, and I'm not being biased. I'm like, if something better came out tomorrow, I'd flip. Sorry, Hexicans, like I'd flip, because to me, it's about finding the best edge in the market. But here's the problem, is that you literally, with Hex, you're monetizing the only thing that matters, which is time itself. That's all we have is time. It's like probably arguably one of, if not the most valuable resource on earth. And you're using it in a way where it's immutable code, and it's compounding the returns in your favor for as long as you decide for yourself. Like, that just on its own is a value proposition that it just can't be ignored. And you're monetizing time, man. How are you going to outperform time? Explain that to me.
I mean, I want to give like the Hexican community a shout out too, because like you're also monetizing this insane community too. Like, I mean, we are, you know, yes, a lot of people disappeared for a minute, but like not like I've dealt with in bear markets previous. You know, like, you know, it becomes a ghost town out here, and I don't feel like that with Hexicans at all. Like, we've been still very active. We've still been making moves. So, I mean, I know it's been a fun to round this bottom in a not fun way, but it's worth it all. So, like, I mean, I appreciate everybody sticking in there and, you know, being supportive on Twitter, being supportive on streams. There's more streamers now than ever. I mean, it's awesome to see. So you can't, I mean, like, there's a lot of people that feel, you know, the same way that you do, and it shows.
A lot of new people have popped up over the last year. You know, a lot of the old guys that weren't good for the system have shown their true colors and have exited. So, I mean, it's good on both sides of the coin. You know, ultimately, that's what these huge redistribution phases do, is they flush the market of bad money or bad mindset, and then the new wave of innovative people comes in and just picks up the tab.
Yep.
And we were talking peeps both new and old. Let's just run through, because chat's on fire right now. We got AR Crypto J, what's up, Hexican family? We got Hexicat, lots of familiar faces. We got Bugs in here. What's going on? Frenchie Made Bullies, Jonathan Capella, everybody. Hexican Girl representing. We got UK. So just add what all countries do we have in here? We got UK, Netherlands, Canada, provinces, Alberta. We got Australia.
Cheers to the Duke of Booze for that $10, man. Thank you.
I haven't even made it that far, but yeah, cheers, Duke. T-Bird, he says strong support at 5.7 cents. We will consult the Axis Alive here shortly on a lot of those chart goodies, plus plenty of other things to discuss here. What is up, Alan? Cool. Good to see you, man. Hex Monkey is here. Donald Brandt giving us a Melftoni update. So there's the Duke of Booze. Finally made it down here. Cheers, everyone. What's going on, man? Thank you. Hello, Wealth. Like Sweden is here in the house. There we go. We got more UKs. What's going on? Hexy Quinn from Mars. Who else we go? Denmark. Here we go. Donald Brandt. Nice. South Africa, but living in London. Rick in the 305. Obviously, you're in Miami. So big.
This is clean shaven for me. Thank you. I got a new electric razor that I tried out. I got given some beard oil, and I tried that out too. I was surprised. I was like, "This is all stupid."
Was it Dr. Squatch beard oil?
I don't know what it. I'll be honest with you. I didn't know, but it came with a little comb
or
thing.
Manscaped.
I tried it out.
There's lots of oils to choose from now.
Smells of rich mahogany and deep sandalwood. Seems like I own many leather-bound books, that kind of fragrance and musk. So it was nice. After using it, I was like, I'll do a little trim ski. So here we are. Thank you, Hex Monkey, for noticing.
There you go. More Australia. The chat's going by so fast, can't get them all.
That's what I use my Okosa Yield on. No, that was a straight gift, Alan. That was a straight gift.
Red Squirrel, what I miss at the beginning of the chat? Vacation in Dominica at the moment. Glad to catch you guys live. Thanks, Tank, for whatever reason using some of your vacation time to listen to us, man. Appreciate it. Actually, I listen to a lot of Hex content if I'm on a beach. It's just, that's how I like to spend my time sometimes. So yeah, chat's on fire. New Zealand, everybody. Oh, who's that?
That was just a call there. I made a call because the beer that I was gonna be drinking was drank right out of my fridge, and so I was calling the person who drank it, and I was like,
what is that one?
This one is SJU, which is like San Juan Lager. It's this company called Ocean Labs. They're amazing here. They have this awesome brewery right on the beach, and this one's just like a it's called Born on the Beach. So it's like a nice beachy lager, super nice. They have an insane beer selection. I highly recommend if y'all come down this way, go check out the Ocean Lab Brewery. It is top notch. They got these croquetas there on their sampler platter that are out of this world croquetas. But the thing is it's only on the sampler platter. I've been like, give me those croquetas, and they're like, I just want a pile of them, and they're like, you gotta buy the whole thing. Very frustrating. Anyways, beer's delicious.
Nice. I had my share yesterday, so I'm taking the day off, hence the Gatorade. But Hex Monkey, smash the likes or just get smashed. Well, some of that happens on this show.
You can do both.
You can do both.
Nardo, I haven't seen you in a while, bud. Shit, bro, how you doing?
Yeah, good to see you, brother. He's just fresh off the Hex Disney meetup that they did.
Yeah, so we had Big Peppa was there. Hexa was there, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't that the original meetup years ago?
Yeah, I was supposed to go, but then some family issues pulled me away.
To the original or this one?
This one.
Okay.
And then we did a little left turn. I went and visited a cacao farm, or cacao farm.
Like moo cow?
No, cacao, like for chocolate.
Ah, okay.
It was pretty cool. Have you ever tried the cacao
you ever
fruit?
Seen a cow that drops chocolate milk?
Yeah,
cacao.
I'd pay for one.
I was surprised. I tried the fruit itself, and it's like tastes like mango or something like that. It's like I wasn't expecting it.
You have Toblerone bullish on croquetas.
Oh yeah, I am super bullish on croquetas.
Yeah, good to see you, Nardo, man. Have to get with you. I'll be down your way in July. Maybe we can get together. Before we get into the really juicy moon chart stuff that I know everybody loves to see from Axis, let's just do some newsworthy items. First with you, Big K, because again, that chair behind you reminds me to ask you about the highest of stakes. How we doing? Any movement? I know you're going to say no, but I got to ask because it's right there.
No, I haven't. I haven't at all. I haven't spoken with them at all in the past week since. Wait, it's been like 2 weeks since I've been on with you. So no, I haven't spoken with them at all. I've been busy with family stuff, so I should bother them and see where we're at. I should be out there too. We were coordinating a little while ago about packing up all my mining equipment that we used. So I have to finish with that. So no, nothing yet. Nothing yet. As soon as I know, y'all will know. I promise.
Those S9s had to have devalued by at least 89% by now.
They're worth nothing compared to what I paid for them. It's just it's hilarious and painful. And I like think about myself when I got them. How like,
Oh yeah, this would actually be story time. Great story time. I mean, Kirk and I both came from the mining ecosphere with Bitcoin, and I mined Ethereum as well. And I mean, it was pretty fun in 17 and 18. I mean, 18 was a little less fun. But,
yes. 17 was awesome.
Yeah.
18 was
like every day you come back and you're making more in USD every day.
Yeah, it was that shit was insane. I mean, I started in 2016, and yeah, 2016 to 17 was just like I was like, this can't be right, like this can't. What's going on here?
I feel like you broke the matrix for once in your life. I feel like you actually figured out something important.
And it was in something that I love to do too. Like I've always loved to build computers, and that was something that was right up my alley. So when I found this, I was like, this can't be how this is amazing. So I was fully in. But my first love was always Monero. That was my first. I knew about that before. I didn't even really. I had heard about Bitcoin, but it was Monero that I had seen on a gaming forum somebody talk about a privacy coin, and so I turned my GPU onto that first, and learned a lot about. I mean, I'm glad I did, because that is as far as early blockchains go, probably the most difficult one to understand, keep track of your own balance. Even all that was much more difficult on there than just Bitcoin or Ethereum was. But I sold most of my Monero at $30, and then it went to $300. So
last time you did that, though, you're gonna make that mistake twice. I did the same thing with Helium. In the last cycle, I got one of the first Helium miners. It was like a $500 device.
Is that the HNT token?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. And then they got listed on Binance, and we all know what happens when that happens, especially in a speculative bull run. And I think I sold most of my tokens at. I think I made they changed. This is the issue with coins like this. Let me get into this first, which is that when you have a centrally controlled thing that doesn't have immutable code, they can change the inflation rate on you. And so what happened with Helium Network Token was, I think I made 4,000 coins in the first month and a half or something. It was crazy. It was beautiful, because then the price went to $3. I'm like, shit, this is easy. I got this. $500 device paid itself off in the first week. I'm printing at this crazy inflation rate. No one else can get these things because they're back ordered to oblivion. It's like I had won the squeeze of the Helium Network Token ecosphere. And then so I just figured, okay, this is easy. And then I dumped all those tokens at $289 at the top, and it was on Binance.us. I remember the transactions. And then a couple weeks later, the inflation was so bad that the price started to slump, and it actually went all the way down to 69 cents or so ish. It was sub $1, and at this point, they changed the inflation rate so that way it was mining at 1/10 of what it was doing before. So over the entire next year, I think I mined back what I made that for maybe 1,000 or 1,500 coins over that whole next year. And I don't even know if I kept it on the whole time. I forget now. But the point of the story is that inflation is probably one of the most important metrics with cryptocurrency. If you can get that down to the right ratios and then match it with a good demand, the price can do amazing things. Helium Network Token ended up soaring to $50+ after they changed the inflation rate to make it much slower. And then eventually what ended up happening was, of course, price goes to $40-$50, and everyone's like, oh, dude, I want to start helium mining. I can build a whole businesses around this thing. It's amazing. But at this point, like that was the moment, right? That was the moment where everyone figured it out, and so that was the top. Like it's
then
like
here's the bristology right there. Then there was a glut of those miners that came out after that.
the rack miner. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then as soon as that happened, it was over. Yeah, I mean, I had one of those helium miners before. I don't even know if I paid for it. I think it was so early on that I got mine that it was like I like asked them to get one when it was still in like what's that called, like development shit, and like I got given one before basically anyone. So yeah, I mean, I liked but not bad times.
Yeah. So then to top the story off, I ended up, I did well with that thing. I ended up selling the miner for $1,500. When the price was still at like 30 cents a token. I was like, great, tripled my money on the device.
I made the money back, but I still actually have it sitting in a storage unit. So, or my unit of all mining.
It's a token. It's a token of your work.
Exactly. I've got a bunch of those. I tried so many different things in mining too. I mean, there was hard drive mining, so like I had like, what was it called? Snow something or another. That was like a hard drive mined coin. So I got some like kick-ass M2 devices to, like way early on before like anybody had those to be able to mine that. And that was like also was,
had Chia or something, or was it with
called
Saya?
It's called Snow, not Sia. I did have that is a whole nother story. Like I invested in obelisks, Sia.
Dude, I still have one in the closet.
Yep, I bought the Sias and the Decreds. I bought like 4 of those bitches, and then like
storage.
I got eaten so hard up on that one, and like when Bitmain came out with their A2, like the miner for that before Obelisk ever even dropped theirs, I bought that one, and I made more money off of the Bitmain. Like I lost my ass seriously hard on the Sia miners, on the Obelisk ones. I mean, but the Bitmain ones made up for it. So it was like it was a painful move, and I like had all this money out with this company that I was like, they ain't never getting that shit. I might as well just make the move now, and I did, and it was worth it. I mean, like it was really like a long, like running those machines and doing all that was. So I had like 2 A2s and then 4 of those other ones. I mean, it paid for everything, but just barely. And if you do my hourly, on it, I lost money.
Yeah, the A3 was a bitch because it was like that first batch. First batch of them was like super profitable. I remember I was mining like $600 a day, and then by the end of the week, everyone else started plugging theirs in because they were getting them in the mail, and the ROI dropped like crazy. And by the time the second batch came out the next month later, the ROIs had just plummeted.
Yep. Oh yeah, and I got one of those mine were in the first run, and like that's the only reason why like you all know about me or hear me is because I started a Twitter account specifically right around that time because Bitmain's like their business model was like release these miners in the middle of the fucking night, in Chinatown, so like 3 a.m. they'd put out a tweet that would be like new miners released, and I'd like I had alerts for their stuff on my phone. I'd like roll out of bed and just start clicking buy buttons. I was like, I don't know what the hell they're selling now, but I better buy it quick. And like I mean that
this is like a great time to bring up why T-shares are the best, and this is why is because you don't have to get up in the middle of the night to order miners from China and expect and send off cryptocurrency and hope and pray that they're going to show up on time and you can beat the rush. Instead, with T-shares, you lock that hex in, and then your guaranteed yield that's going to compound in your favor forever, right? It's just effortless and it's amazing, and like the yield is actually proven to like work. And I don't know. It's just it's an amazing thing, right? That we were able to do this. And I know a lot of other coins are going to come along and try to replicate this, but I just don't see. They're missing one key element, and that's the network effect. That's what the hexagons have that all these other guys that's trying to copy it and do virtual mining now or find yield. Like DeFi Summer was the first attempt by the Cryptosphere to copy what already had worked with Hex, right?
Yes. That is true. That is 100%. I mean, it was almost surreal watching the market hate on Hex so hard, and then one thing after another was like, I was like, oh, they just stole that part from Hex. Oh, they just stole that part from Hex. I was like, what the fuck? Like you saw it all in real time over that. The DeFi Summer was definitely super interesting to see that, and it was the most ripe with like insane, ridiculous scams that and it was a balance between scam and people that have no idea what the fuck they're doing. Like it's still pretty scammy, but but yeah, whatever, yams and everything else along the way, sushis and all that was every food item you wanted. There was a coin for.
Yeah, they don't have the this guy says Sean says like they don't have the OA and Godwill, and that's true. They don't have not just those guys, but about 40 to 50 other really super large accounts that are sitting here believing in Hex long term and have a lot of money locked up in it, that are incentivized and aligned to make sure that the price appreciates. And you know, a lot of these guys they've been in cryptocurrency a very, very long time, so they know how to like move the price chart and just shit all over it. And that's effectively what we saw in the first 2 years of Hex, was just complete domination of the liquidity pairs and just absolute, you know, disgusting price performance. And that was a function of these guys redoing what already had worked once. And I'll get into some charts in a little bit that kind of explains, you know, if Hex follows Bitcoin's cycle 2, like how high the price can go in the next cycle. It's pretty amazing.
Yes.
Tell us Moon Boys. Moon Boys. We have what else we have here? I wanted to bring this up before we got off the highest of stakes. So if Big K cannot give us anything else, Brizology thinks he knows. So Richard is waiting for the highest of stakes to release before he releases Pulse Chain, and highest of stakes is waiting for Richard to release Pulse Chain. It's a standoff. Please release the movie already.
That is a fun fan fiction, you know, theory, but not true.
Shut down.
Richard doesn't really have anything to do with our launching, and we don't. And like, to be fair, like I love Hex and I'm super Hexican, but like the movie people are interested in making a good movie and making and putting out a good product, and they don't give a shit whether Hex goes up or down or left or right. I mean, and even in some ways, I mean, there's the, you know, I feel like that if Richard rugged, if there was a possibility even, it would make for a better fucking story, everybody. Like that would, like, people
let's not go that route. But,
no, yeah. I'm not saying that. So like, it's not gonna happen. I've explained this very clearly to everybody involved. Like, it's never gonna happen, you know. But so if you think that there's some sort of, you know, no, those are legit. These cats are super legit. They've done their research and did the movie as fair as possible to everybody. And you know, you know, they did a great job, and at both portraying all the sides, you know. So no, nobody's trying to game anything along the way.
What is up? Crypto King is in the house. Red Bull Green Bear shouts out Big K here. Thanks for onboarding me on day 555. Never looking back, brother.
Wild. I mean, I'll be honest with you. You never thought like, hey, today's day 555, you know, but like, sure means something now. It's my fault. Oh shit.
Gold Key, we just asked Big K. Nothing new. We're just, I guess, waiting for pickup.
We're waiting. Well, they're in negotiations.
So there are negotiations taking place, or are they like waiting for someone?
No, we're speaking with. Okay. They're in negotiations.
Actively negotiating. Mm-hmm. All right, excellent. What else? I'm seeing some of your questions in chat about price and whatnot. So Kenny, I got your question logged. I know Access, we're going to look at Bitcoin. You know, if it goes to 20K, where does Hex go? We'll for sure look at that. So I made a note. Any other notes? Crypto Surfer 369. China. There you go. Talk strategy. Yeah, Michael Light, we're going to do a lot of that. We're covering some news first, getting, you know, a lot of stuff here. So what was some more community news this week? So we had one of the original Furus that was in the Furu's eulogy video by Freddie Quotes. Kind of did a little turn, and
I wouldn't call it a full 180. I'd say it's like
a turn,
90 to 120 degrees,
which is better than Nothing.
I'll take it. You know, like that's the thing is it's good to see. You know,
What's the guy's name? I don't even follow
Mason
this.
versus Lewis.
Mason versus Lewis.
Mason. Yeah. There you go.
He makes a good living on being able to say bullshit very well. He says this is like a tag word. I feel like, and I remember that very clearly. Hex is bullshit.
Yeah, I remember. So, any feelings before we move on? For Freddie saying that he would take him out of the Furu's eulogy video. I disagree with that. I have no problem, saying I love Freddie, but
maybe you could leave him in there, but just take the dick out. Maybe I don't know.
I mean,
maybe turn it into like a rose petal or something.
But I mean, like, do we go back and redo?
The past was the past, and like, right. I mean, there's other cats involved in that aren't a part now. So like, I mean, we've all, life is long and it's a twisty, windy road, So sure like, I think that is what happened, and like, I'm not saying he can't take it out. If it was going to be something on a public, larger scale that you were going to release it, and it was going to be something on an album or something, sure, don't put his face in there. It's fine. Yeah. But like, I still think that for what it was he was well placed. He was harsh against it, and we were calling those people out. And even in hindsight, he, like, the way he came around with it, he's fully admitting that like other people said it sucked. He didn't do his research. And so he said what he said based on other people's opinions. So like,
there's a lesson there.
Yet another downfall of influencers right there. Just you spit out this stuff, people listen, don't do their own, and then it's like, well, this is my opinion because I saw it, on some.
It's my opinion because it was a bunch of other people's opinions, and that's what's really tough about it. Is that like, in a world where, like, truthfully, if somebody goes to you, hey, can you give me a book on what to learn about cryptocurrency? I'm like, yeah, it's called twitter.com. That's like the first, or Telegram, like, it's not like you can just give someone a this shit is changing moment by moment, so like, you can't like, I understand that it's hard to keep up with things, but also in that age, like, doing proper research is something that should be like cheered for and promoted more than people just like, my research is someone else's words. Okay, that's very shitty.
Yeah, I think one of the best pieces of advice I could give people is you need to curate for yourself a list of the best sources of information. That's what I do on Twitter, or maybe I'll be in a part of some Telegram groups with some of the people that I look up to, or I think that are providing quality, accurate information. Yeah. And then you can start to try to find people that you like their source of information, but they might have competing views. And then your job is to synthesize that information down, and reduce it down to like a happy medium so that you can know what's going to happen over like a 6 to 12 month time frame, because everyone's got different time frames and different opinions. And once you track these guys, they have a list of 20 or 30 people. Once you track them for a while, over years of time, you start to really be able to dial in and find out where the true signal is, when you start to connect the dots between all these different sources of information. So yeah, that's a long, drawn out process. And if you want to get on the fast track to that, maybe a better option for you would be to go to like my website, accesslive.com, and actually like get involved at a higher rate of speed.
Yeah, I mean, even just like taking all that information in and then coming up with your own opinion about it, and you're going to be wrong a bunch. Like, I mean, I fucking eat shit a bunch, being wrong, with my own opinion, and it wasn't until, you've done that a bunch of times that you can flesh out whether what you're thinking is right or not, how whether you're a contrarian at the right time or you're just an idiot, alone on your own raft,
Yeah, so Freddie explains, I drew a dick on his face. I felt bad about that. So
really, Freddie? I would not feel bad about that, dude. He did that to himself.
Kept them in the beginning, just removed the dick pics. So
yeah.
I didn't really know there were dick pics in the Fubu's eulogy. Perhaps some Easter eggs for those ladies interested, or dudes if you're into that sort of thing. But anyway, yeah, lights out. Just got here and saw Freddie's drawing comment first day. Yeah, welcome to the show, lights out. So there you go. Freddie says, this is exactly why I didn't take him out a year ago. I spoke with him last February and contemplated removing him. He was mostly nice in the conversation, but it didn't end on a positive note, so I left him in. So maybe we'll just have like the the box set version of the original, like that will never be edited, and then we'll have
the coffin version, right?
Oh,
And by the way, did
there's some
anybody buy
Mexicans that
that?
have clipped that.
Oh, for sure. Did
Oh, yeah,
anybody buy
Freddie.
that coffin, or did
Yeah.
you can put it in the museum, or what's going on with that?
Yeah, he took a poll, but I didn't know what he did.
I mean, if I get to say, I think it should go in the Richard Hart Museum.
I
mean,
think
that
it
was an
should.
iconic thing that we shot the top, bro.
The very first top.
Yeah,
we topped it with this casket. So
it'd be a cool interactive exhibit to be like be a furu for a day and like get to lay in the coffin for a second.
Oh, dude, you just throw Joker in there and leave him in there for eternity.
That is the truth.
I've developed a friendship with Eric Wall. He's still going to be hard to convince me to take out anyone else. There you go. So leave him in, dick pics and all. All right, this chat is going nowhere.
I mean,
all right,
let's re-steer the ship here.
Yeah, it's fair enough.
Any other news elements here? Oh, right before we came on the show, Steph from Staker App says V2 is, wait for it, soon. But I have a feeling that'll be sooner than later, as when that comes to that. I'm excited for it. I mean, we've been waiting for it forever. Right?
So there's somebody out there in the community that can be like, I've seen this. I know what's going on. It's good. So speak up, people.
I can't say anything.
Everybody's asking about highest of stakes.
I'm like, keep refreshing. I'm like, where's the update?
No update. V2 2 weeks. Yeah, we can hope. So yeah, Super Hex was there for the video shoot. Haven't seen him since then. What's going on, my friend?
See you.
Okay. So Freddie, I guess he's waiting on word from Richard, possibly for the casket to go in the museum or not. So I think it's a good idea. If somehow we could get the
we got to figure out how to get it across the ocean.
Yeah, I'm sure the NASCAR has been reskinned, so that's probably out of the question.
Yes.
But you could just pull the engine out and cost less to ship.
Yeah. So if anyone out there speaks to Richard Hart, ask him if he wants the casket with all that stuff in there. So we got Staker App. What else? I think we've pretty much covered everything. Oh, I streamed with DCC last Friday, so Dollar Cost Crypto was on, and in the green room after, we just had a quick chat, and he mentioned something to me I think we should do more of as streamers in the community, and that is to encourage people to post on Instagram, and that could be like the next viral thing. Like, we've done great with TikTok, but with all the things that are going on, if you're reading the news, what if by sometime next year, this isn't if, but what if TikTok gets banned? So all of our content there is gone. So why not spread out, some of these talented content creators and go for Instagram, who has a huge eyeball set anyway. Plus, if you make reels, that's how really you get seen. That's like the secret sauce to Instagram. DCC kills it over there, but he mentioned that in the green room last week, and I had a note to at least mention that, and I'm going to try to mention it every now and then during stream. So Hexagon content creators, get out there on Instagram, make those reels. We have a bunch of people killing on TikTok. I think Super Hex, we got El Hexadente, bunch of the Hex ladies are over there. So yeah, let's start taking over Instagram, and other streamers, if you're watching the show, pump that up on your show as well, and spread the good word.
I'm slightly triggered. My wife's been trying to get me to pay more attention to Instagram for like over 2 years now. So no, okay,
well,
okay,
she's not watching the show.
Fine, I'll do it.
See, I told you. Anything else? Last thing on the list, Ethereum Shanghai. I guess I think I read a coffee tweet might said it's like the very end of this month or early March,
the 28th or 27th or something like that. Yeah, I think it's going to be in a few days, supposedly, if no hiccups happen.
Yeah. So any thoughts on that? I mean, that's just like one less source of FUD, right, for Pulse Chain, because be out, and
price go down for Ethereum probably if people can get coins that they couldn't get for years. Right. That's
a little mini Mount Gox for Ethereum.
Yeah. I had heard that there was some sort of, I don't know about this, so correct me if I'm wrong, but somebody had said that there's some sort of like distribute, like not everybody can unstake all their coins at the same time, right? Or like can pull it, like if everybody was like, I'm going to pull all my Ethereum now, I don't think that that's allowed. I think that there's a certain amount, like there's some sort of like distribution that like it's so many per day or something like that. Like I read this. I don't know if it's the case. If someone is like, no, that's not it. All that 13% of Ethereum will be out almost all right at once or whatever. See there, gold key. Thank you. Yes, there's a withdrawal limit. So like, really, this could be a long-term slow dump, and like if the market can handle it, amazing. So yeah, there's a vesting period. I think, what is it, 40 or 50,000 Ethereum or something like that a day or something like that. I don't know exactly what it is. I was reading about it. So like that won't, like, the FUD of, oh, it's all coming out at once isn't the case. It's like going to be slowly distributed. I think that technically if everybody withdrew all their Ethereum at the moment, it would take like till November or something like that to like get it all out, So, I mean, I don't know if that makes it better or not, but
I think so. I mean, just based on ETH's performance this year, generally it's held up better than Bitcoin. You didn't even make a second lower low like Bitcoin did.
And if the other piece of news that I just was reading about, like from a day ago, was that Coinbase, I guess, is making an L2. That there you go. Look at that. Look at you, big Cabana. How did I know Cabana was already on it? So yeah, so they're making a L2 that's going to be like, they're not making a token for it. It's going to be Ethereum based for gas. So like that's also relatively bullish for Ethereum if people use it.
Funding Jim in the chat. What's going on, my man? What was the price of ETH at the time of lockup? Like Hexkins, they benefit from lockup. I'm not sure. ETH disciples dump.
When
was question, lockup? Fair point.
Lockup was before. It was like, it had to have been a couple of years ago, like a year and a half, 2 years ago at least.
I think it was 2 years. So, wasn't it? Weren't they locking that stuff before even the last bull market started, or right around then?
Yeah. It was like as things were kicking up, So I want to say
3 years now. I think this is the third year.
So yeah, that's, I mean, a good amount of time. So they definitely have made, like, I mean, depending on where you bought in the cycle and everything, they definitely probably made some gains on it. I mean, back then we were down in the hundreds of dollars. So
yeah, Corey, an investor. What is going on, Corey?
I still like the whole layer 2 Coinbase thing. Seems to me some central, like people who want, like, people wanting to build on this like relatively centralized platform seems crazy to me. But I mean, like I said, I have only read like bits and pieces. Like I'm not like getting super involved yet. So
in my mind, all that does is it widens the pipe. It widens the on-ramp. Like, okay, you get people on an L2, they start playing around with the chain, they start playing around with moving money back and forth between the L1 and the L2. It's just another layer that, it's just more exposure for crypto. It's really, I don't think the money's going to get necessarily trapped on there. And like, I think that just like increases the inflows into crypto. So it's just probably just a header, man. Like, honestly, it's probably going to be easier to send money off the exchange to your Ethereum wallet and then go to PulseX.com and just click the switch RPC button.
Yeah. That's, I mean, and like I said, I'm not opposed to that. And not only that, but like, this is the slow clap for Coinbase getting something done with the regulatory arbitrage that they have to do in the United States to make that a possibility.
Right.
And it seems like they're not just laying over for SEC on some things, like Kraken. Kraken's like, pay the fine, get out of here. SEC is going to fight it. So
yeah, good. Cool. So like I said, I mean, I'm not opposed to any of that. I'm not here going to promote the shit out of it, but like, cool. Hey, let's get to some charts, man.
Hey, like, in other news, Gary Gensler said, "Not your keys, not your coins."
That's cool, I said that. Too. That's my favorite part. That clip should go on every defense of whatever he targets that's DeFi, because he said it. And if he comes for, other coins themselves one day, here are your words, bro. You said it, and that should be the most replayed Gary Gensler tweet or saying or
No,
whatever.
I agree. I've had several people call me after that happened,
Comment.
and like, you know, and I was like, this is probably the best thing that out of all of this could have happened for Hexicans. You know, like it's vindication and with, you know, with some legal backing. That's fire.
Well, the chat is full. We have one heck of an audience. We are doing bang up numbers this week. Access Alive, I'm sure, you know, all that news and community stuff was fun, but I'm sure you brought a bunch of goodies. Are you ready to share?
I'm ready to share.
All right.
I guess let's get into the markets.
See what you got.
All right, guys. Well, this is the hex chart on the 4 hour. It doesn't look like it's going down to me. What do you guys think?
I don't think so.
It's like maybe a little flag there. Kind of dipped down a little bit, but it's in that right in the middle of that channel. So that's good.
Yeah. So it's funny because actually
your little that yellow line up there kind of scares me for some reason.
Way up there.
Yeah, but I'll take it. Let's come at it. Let's come at that shit.
Yeah, let's do it. Like, what do you look at? You zoom out, you look at the long-term trend here. You know, we're playing with this line.
God, that's such a beautiful chart.
Isn't that nice? That's nice. Tell you what. Yeah, we bounced here off the 382. And this is actually a key level in a couple different areas here. You got it. We hit it here. When was that? Back in August of last year. Mm-hmm. Now we're there again. The difference this time is that the liquidity now is completely set up in a different way, and we'll dive into that in a second. But I think the key thing here is, like, if you look back to 2021, how we played with it was a 5.6 cent level. I mean, this drop here originally was a huge drop. We went from 5 cents all the way down to 3.5 cents and still recovered. And so if this is like, okay, if theoretically, if the bottom's in and, you know, we're coming up to test this big bear market trend line, I mean, this thing took many, many weeks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I mean, you weren't above it for, 9 3-day candles. So what is that? 3 times 9 is 27 days. So, I mean, you can play with this line for 27 days, but guys, there's just not that much time. You don't really have 27 days of time to play with it. I mean, it says here 30 days to the edge if you go flat, but we all know how Hex likes to move. It's a little more choppy than that. So, and especially now that we're on this low liquidity zone. So if you look at the liquidity here, for those of you guys that have been following me for a while, price is in a fairly low liquidity zone right now, and actually went and did some deep dive numbers on what the amount of like dollars backing Hex right now, and it's kind of enlightening. So we'll bring that up in a second. But each one of these bars here in front of price is like literally only 280,000 Hex. So if let's say there's like 15 bars here, that's 286,000 times 15. That's 4.2 million Hex. I know sharks that have millions of Hex, hundreds of millions. Like that this 4.2 million is nothing. You multiply that by a 6 cent price target. That's where we're at right now. Roughly, that's $250,000 before you're back into like no man's land, and there's just nothing out here to buy. And this is on the 3.3% fee pair for the Hex USDC liquidity. And then we had some changes in the 1% pair. Actually, we had this big wall that I had made mention to earlier in the week is now gone, and that 22 million Hex has been pulled and then staked. So I actually think that's a bullish thing. It's like, wow, like that guy was like, you know what, F it. Like, this thing's looking so good. I don't know what he's thinking, or he or she is thinking. To me personally, I saw this morning and thought it was a bearish sign. And then I went back and looked at the chart and how well it's holding up right now. And so I'm not that concerned, because when I look at the 0.3% pair, there's this big stick here at like 5.6 cents that is just a one guy who wants to accumulate that range probably. And then you start really getting into some fat bids here. This is 50,000 USD per bar. You got like 250,000 bucks right here of liquidity. And then, you know, ultimately you got to remember, we're in a market condition right now where most of the people that wanted to buy are still left behind and still waiting for lower prices, and have limit orders set, so that anytime that you get pushes down into that liquidity band, especially down past 5.4 cents, there's going to be so much limit orders sitting there waiting to buy. So you're going to wick immediately, and it's going to take a tremendous amount of sell pressure. Like, remember, I just said 4.2 million Hex is roughly 250 grand. So who's going to be willing to chuck 10 million a rack of Hex at these liquidity bands here, considering the limit orders there and everything, and be able to push price down and keep it trapped? you're basically like you're in anti-gravity zone right now, where the amount of pressure you would literally need to sell hundreds of millions of hex to push the price down in here. For example, 100 million hex right now is roughly let's see here, $6 million. So like, and there's more than $6 million of liquidity between 4 cents and or probably, let's see, what is this, 3.8 cents and 5.4 cents. So to me, the person that wants to do that is really taking a huge risk to do that.
Yeah. How many non-believers really are sitting on that much hex still that are willing to eat that much of a painful maneuver downward and then watch? And then like, there's so many people that are waiting for that. I mean, and the more we float up here and enjoy this price up here, the more people are going to be itching to move those orders up.
Mm-hmm. If you look in here on the 15-minute chart, let's dive into like the volume analysis here. So we came down pretty hard this morning. We got rejected off the 6.4 cent range, which, by the way, on the liquidity, 6.6, let's see, 6.55 cents is where the liquidity literally drops off to like 100,000 hex per bar. So there's just nothing out there. So that's exactly why we got sold down, is because this was just trade tards coming in. They might have taken a small profit. Some of them took $16,000, $20,000 losses selling right now. Maybe they bought up here at 7 cents or like 6.7 cents, 6.6 cents. And they're scared because they're looking at the overall market. They're looking at Bitcoin and Ethereum in these unknown times of market history. We'll look back on this and and my belief is that we'll look back on this, that this was like the last opportunity to buy a sell-off, right? So anybody that's like, again, the amount of economic energy it takes to push price down right now is a huge risk to the seller. So again, the way I described this in the stream with Randy Hilarski the other night was I pulled up the hex chart, and I think I did it against Bitcoin because it's just such a clean chart. Let's do this on a weekly. How about? Okay.
And that intraday one just for today too, like the entire market.
This chart, people
S&P took a dump, and that's, I think, another reason why people got scared. They wanted, some liquidity, and they cashed out some hex. As Bitcoin and everything else fell, of course, hex is holding right in there again. So
to your point, you make a great point. The dollar is on a small short-term rally right now. So what that does is it looks strong, but in reality, anytime the dollar crashes like this, like 12% in 100 days, statistically, it always has continued downside. So this is, in my mind, a big fake out, right? I think, everyone's on the side of the fence that a huge recession is looming and you're going to have massive downside. Even in the event that you did get massive downside, your S&P index is going to bottom sometime by November. And I can prove that by drawing out the fractal. And so, like, really, it's a race against time right now to accumulate more than anything else.
And I do like that it came down and rested the close today right on that downtrend line that we broke. We broke out of it, and then we came down and we're sitting right on there. There you go.
Okay, so imagine this. Like, this is
looks yeah.
So yeah, imagine this. Like, right, you get a double bottom, right? This is COVID. Whoops. This is COVID. Double bottom, right here. Bam. And it literally would. But here's the problem: is that you already got the COVID moment, and there was so much money printed during this time period that money is not out right now. That money is sitting in the public sector, the private sector. In every single little nook and cranny, there is money sitting around right now. The dollar is in abundance right now, and that's a function of the supply of dollars in existence. Like, look at this chart. This is the M1 money supply chart. This is COVID, where they went and added $10 trillion of liquidity into the system. Over the last bear market, they haven't even been able to drag it down more than, let's see, what is this? A little over $1 trillion. Like, it's just like, there's so much spare money on the sidelines right now that I just don't see downturn. I just don't see it. This dollar is gonna crack, man, and the S&P is just doing a fake out.
That's what I'm thinking too. Is like, all those people that are holding those dollars know that it's like you said, it's a race against time. Who's going to buy what first, at what good prices that they can get it at.
Mm-hmm. So this is what I have here is a composite index. It's all of the stock markets combined. I'll put it on a monthly, so it's a little cleaner. This is a monthly time frame. You can see how cleanly the Russell, the NASDAQ, the Dow Jones, and the S&P combined into one massive index is holding these levels. on this yellow line here, which was the wick high from 2021, January 2021. You're
Yeah,
just like
outside
sitting
that
here
channel.
chilling.
Mhm.
And look, this is like a key. This is when you look at the channel this way, it's a key level. This goes back here. This is the 618. You notice how in 2015 we held the 618 with some fat wicks. Those were like 6.5%, 7% wicks down. We haven't even done any of those massive. We did one here, 4%. Didn't even get that far, and we've just continued to close candles above. And so this month ends in 4 days, and I think what you're going to see is potential turbulence in March, where the bears try to make that play happen, but that the bulls just step in within 30 days and just absorb all of that supply. And that's a function of the M1 money supply.
Fresh Tacos question. So are all these fake breakouts?
I would say that they're likely to be
the
fake
dollar might be.
breakdowns. The dollar, yeah.
The dollar looks like a rolling over. Like that chart looks like it's gonna continue to roll over.
Let's talk about the dollar. Okay, so if you come to my website and you purchase a chart set, it's $10. Like if you purchase this is the kind of stuff that you're gonna get. So inside of here, I went back all the way to the year 2000, and the bottom indicator here is called the sentiment oscillator, which means that if the red line's on top, it's a super bearish environment. If the blue line's on top, it's a super bullish environment. And then we're looking at the dollar, remember. So if the dollar is bullish and the blue line's on top, it means that risk assets like stocks and cryptocurrencies are going to be down relative to the dollar, because people are fleeing out of crypto, stocks, real estate. They're fleeing out of these things to find safe haven in the dollar. So what we've seen recently is a huge. Take your attention down here to the bottom right corner. You see how the red line is the bear line. It's went on a drastic move up. It's got a positive slope, but it didn't just do it gradually like it did here in 2019. This thing literally just inverted on its head and just started going up. Meanwhile, the bullish indicator went and shot right down. So they're coming to meet and create confluence in the middle here. But that means that at best case, by the end of the year, the dollar is going to go into like a rising wedge, kind of like it did back here in 2000, or just go in a rising parallel channel, continue to fail to make meaningful new highs, right? Because it's just there's so many countries in the world right now trying to get off the dollar standard, and they're trying to create their own CBDCs or the retail markets or financial advisor types or like the large hedge funds. They're all trying to leave the dollar as well and find returns, because people are hungry for returns. We live in the day and age of technology and the information age, and so we're neurotic for huge returns. We've seen it in crypto before, and so it's almost like we're obsessed with that principle, and so we're going to leave the dollar, and it's just a matter of time before again this red line goes to the top line again. And when that occurs during this process over the next year and a half, dollar is going to break down again. And anytime you get these huge sell-offs like this, they have continuation. And so like this is like the ultimate thing. This little sell-off here that I'm circling right now with my cursor, that was the bull run of the last time. And you didn't have anything like you had back in the early 2000s here. Imagine if you do get that moment where countries like China, Russia, South Africa, Brazil create their own currency, and there's a huge everyone abandons the dollar standard, abandons U.S. sovereign debt, bonds crash to the zero, and like what you're going to have is the dollar crash with it, and that's bad for the people holding dollars, but it's also good for people that are positioning themselves now for that inevitable outcome.
I mean, just from my like total armchair perspective, like Richard's taught me, like, hey, parabola, you go down now. And like that last parabola is fucking sharp. And like we are about to, like, I mean, unless something magical happens for the dollar, like that's gonna be broken.
Yeah. I'm in the camp of, I think we have some pain to go through for the next couple of months in traditional markets. Now, could crypto stay strong during that time? Possibly. Richard Hart himself said in one of the streams that he felt that crypto would be the first to bottom. He might not have gotten his 11K in prey. He could still get it. I don't know, but jury's still out on that. But
he did get it in a sense, because there's a couple things that I love about that when we talk about that. 11K in prey.
If you look at that M1 supply that you showed, where like the money, like how are you going to get 11K in Prey when like that chart of how much money has been made is just fucking, where is you going to get 11K from? You might have got 11K if that stayed anywhere in that channel or
I mean,
anywhere
this goes
close to
back
that
to
channel.
1975. So like, look at how slow the growth was from 1975 until 2008. And that's when we went into a period of quantitative easing, and when you started to see an increase in the slope or the growth rate of new dollars being printed out of thin air.
Yep.
And so it was already bad enough between '08 when Bitcoin was born and then 2020 when COVID happened, and then they decided to create giga stimulus in the economy.
Yep.
There's a couple things I can show you on the Bitcoin chart that kind of gives you a couple potentialities here with what's to come. The first thing I want to bring you to is the 2015 cycle. Notice here how you had your first initial burst out, some sideways, a second burst, and then a wick low. And on some of these charts, it actually made a wick lower low here. But still, that was a wick, and then you actually recovered off that level and presumed higher. So there's nothing saying you can't come down currently and test those low levels, like at the bottom of this pink parabola, logarithmic growth curve. There's nothing saying that can't happen, but that would still be bullish because on the oscillators, on the indicators, your RSI and all the rest of it, it's still going to be making higher highs and higher lows. Just because there's not enough speed and force and direction of down right anymore. It's just that's been completely changed.
That's if it hit that low, it'd just be setting the table. It's just setting the table just right.
There's I did a post this week, and if you go here, you can go to accesslive.com, go to news logs, and then click on the most recent article. And I did this. I basically detailed how crypto spring has arrived. Like in my opinion, we're already there, and I'll give you some reasons for that. So if you look at this band, this orange band on the bottom, that's a 350-day moving average. So this is Bitcoin inside underneath the 350-day average. Now, in 2012, we came up, we tested it, rejected off it for 5 months before busting through it and going up to the red line. Fast forward to 2015, the first peak, you didn't even get there, but the second peak, you came up, you tested it, you got rejected off for 4 months, and then you busted out when Ethereum was born. Hence, and then you started the parabola. Third time, 2018, you get this first come up, test it, consolidation below it, and then rip right through it and head up to the red line, right? And then COVID crash, it was kind of an anomalous event. You slip down through it, you come up, you basically just went right up in about 45 days and you ripped right through it, and then you formed support above it and consolidated above the 350-day. So currently we're here at this moment in time. I'm gonna pull up the live chart so you can see that and see how good it looks. Let's see. Shout out to lookintobitcoin.com. They provide these charts for free. Badass. Okay, so you can see that we're just like basically rubbing up against it, trying to consolidate below it right now. So like your downside target is minimal. If you did, you come back down to test that. My ultimate wick low would be, I would say like 18.5 maybe on a wick, and then like within 3 to 7 days you'd be back up and like trending way faster back up to basically exceed the 350-day moving average. But if it plays out anything like it did in 2018, you're basically going to consolidate under it, do a fake out, and then you're going to come back up for another test within 2-3 weeks, bust right through it and head to the green line. The second time here took a little longer. This was 2020. Came up, you busted through it, you consolidated above it, you did your DeFi summer, and then finally you came up and you went right for red, right? So your options right now, and you guys tell me what you think, is you basically consolidate here. Maybe you get a fake out downside. That is a sell off to buy. This is not like the time to be bearish. Everybody's been bearish for over a year. There's been so much money printed in sideline that everybody's waiting for cheaper prices. That's why I say in like crypto spring is basically people that are underwater are selling off what they need to make themselves whole, while bulls are coming back in and trying to buy the best price, right? That's why you get this volatile recovery phase that doesn't make new lows, because it's a game of chicken of who can get a better price on something that's demand is now increasing for.
Yep.
By the way, that green line is at 39,500.
Cool. God, this is some great shit.
This is also another interesting theory here. Like, okay, so the Bitcoin halving cycle, for those who don't know, changes the inflation rate in Bitcoin so that for the next 4 years, you get miners get half as much revenue in Bitcoin terms as they did the previous 4 years. This is important because there's a certain cycle and a certain heartbeat to the Bitcoin price chart. So when you look at this, anytime you get within 400 days to the next halving cycle, you have this issue where you can see down here this starts to round out, and that's a function of when you make a blow off top or when you make a top in the markets. Bitcoin miners know the cycle. They're going to hedge their bet by shorting the market so that any kind of downside price action they're going to be protected from that. And then once you get down to the bottom and you get close to 400 days out, there's a natural reaccumulation of coins before the coins get more scarce leading into and post the next halving cycle. And this has happened the last 3 times. And you can see that any 400 days is represented by this like blue color. We're there now. We were, as of the day of writing this, we were at day 400. So one more thing I want to show you guys here about Bitcoin and why I think the bottom's in for all the markets. Assuming we don't get some like catastrophic, level 0 correlation event where every single market gets obliterated, right? Because that's always a possibility.
You said all markets. Are you referring just crypto or
No, all
S&P as
markets,
well?
like,
okay.
The whole macro, if it decides to like it for whatever reason, there's like a fear moment and globally, like I'm talking like black swan type status stuff.
I don't know. The last big black swan COVID dip. There's one thing that went crazy high, and while everything else went low. So I'm not as afraid of it as I might have been previous cycles.
Yeah. I mean, so like the way to look at that is like, okay, hopefully you had some dry powder for the event that you do get like an anomalous event like that, right? Because look how fast it recovers, because it's going to be a function of money printing again, right? To bring us out of it. So this is called the Puel multiple. This was created in 2019 by this guy named David Puel. And what it does is it measures the dollar value of the amount of inflation coming out in Bitcoin. So anytime that the mined Bitcoins goes down into the green zone in dollar terms, it marks a bottom. And anytime the dollar valuation of newly mined Bitcoins goes into the red zone, it marks a top. And so the key line I want you to bring your attention to is the blue line in the middle. Every time that the orange line, which is the dollar price of new inflation, meets the 1.0 line, which is the blue line here, it does not retrace. It comes back up, and that marks the beginning of the bull market.
Awesome. Oh my gosh, I'm so aggravated. These charts are amazing, but I have to leave y'all.
Oh,
God
shit.
damn it. This is great shit. Axis, I have enjoyed myself so fucking thoroughly through like.
Hey, before you go,
again.
Look at this. Hex is kicking the shit out of Ethereum on the Rainbow channel.
You fucking. That looks beautiful, man. God bless it. I'm really glad I showed up today for happy hour, Cabana. Thanks for having me around. This has been great.
Good to see you, Kurkowski, says the funding Jim.
Oh, good to see you too, Gary. Appreciate that.
Man.
Like I said, I'm going to thoroughly enjoy my evening after this wonderful session. Appreciate it. Don't let me stop you. I'm going to get out of here, but please continue more. I will be listening later on tonight.
Thank you for being here, brother.
Later, amigo.
We'll see you soon.
Yes, definitely, dude. We got to all get back together. That was lots of fun.
All right, peace, brother.
Adios.
All right, what else we got? Questions wise.
Yeah, push your questions in the chat. I had one. So Axis, if Bitcoin goes to 20K, where does Hex go? I mean, 20K is not too far away from where we're at. And you said 18.5 on a wick, maybe. So
yeah.
let's
talk about that.
Might that have?
Yeah, dude, check this out. And you tell me, like, I know you're gonna have something to say about this, because it's basically the whole basis of this argument is based on this correlations matrix. So over 7 days, the last 7 days as of writing, which I think I wrote this a day ago or 2 days ago, the Hex price is negatively correlated to Bitcoin and Ethereum. So what that means is that 12% of the time, Hex is doing the opposite of Bitcoin, and 17% of the time, ETH's doing the opposite. So if ETH's crashing, Hex is going up 17% of the time. If Bitcoin's crashing, Hex is going up in the same time frame. So what this is telling me is that over a shorter time frames right now, we're starting to see this decoupling event. And I can back that up because if you look at like the long-term yearly correlations, you're going to notice that it's been way more correlated over the last year. You know, as the whole entire crypto economy was basically in a bear trend, Hex was doing the same thing as Bitcoin 54% of the time, and the same thing as Ethereum 62% of the time over a yearly time frame. And then on a 30-day, it's still pretty correlated. So like that, this market move has been generally, you know, Bitcoin rallied off the lows, Hex rallied harder. Essentially, that's why it's not a full one-to-one correlation, is because it's doing a little more pumping and a little less dumping, generally. But then over the 7-day, look, it's still decorrelating and even more now, where it's holding its levels. And so my argument here is that because of the unique position that we're in with this liquidity setup and why there's so much bid supporting here and limit orders sitting here on price, you're just not going to see the downside on Hex that you would see on Bitcoin, even if it did crash to 20K or an 18.5, because it would be so supported in that range. And this would actually ultimately lead to an even higher decorrelation away from the broader market. And then to that point, you know, 20K is really not that far away in Bitcoin terms. It really isn't. So I don't think it would be so negatively affected. I think that this rally, even if it dumps, if this sell-off dumps, you know, even if it dumps hard down to 18, like down to this support level or this support level, 19.5, that is going to be bought up rapidly, you know, because I think the bottom is like being set here, and it's a function of the inflation rate of Bitcoin and the mining economy, you know. So it's like actual real business behind this this move, right?
Yep. K-Hex asks, why does the Hex chart look so similar to ETH and less like BTC? Lifetime, long time
Got
frame.
you. Okay. Well, I can see what you're thinking. That's a good question. We can kind of lead into my. So I see what you see in this. This is lookintohex.com. Shout out to Gerardo for putting this website together. Shout out to Wave3 for giving Gerardo the URL back in the day. OG knowledge for those who are curious. But check this shit out. Like, yeah, I agree that the chart looks more like ETH, right? You can see that there's a clear similarity in the structure of the pattern of the chart. But however, the thing that's different about Hex is this isn't a function of them being the same type of asset at all. That's just a function of the beginning of an asset, right? So what I mean by that is, in the beginning of ETH, there was a certain set amount of coins. You had a wave 1 sell-off and then a wave 2 sell-off. So that's like natural for any cryptocurrency, like, or any asset in general, is that you need to get rid of the first few rounds of people and profit. And so this is more like a function of that. And I actually think now, moving forward, that Hex is going to track more of like what Bitcoin did as far as in terms of returns. So if I put on Bitcoin on here, you can see that even back here on ETH and green, you just didn't really see the straight up move like you saw on Hex, like right now between 1.7 and 7 cents. You didn't see that on ETH. ETH was a gradual recovery. It took many, many months to get, here, do some quick math. It was like not even a 3x. It took months. Whereas Hex did a 3x in, what was it, like 40 days or something, 42 days. And so like I think what you're getting is more something like this back on Bitcoin, where we're coming out of our bear market and we're gonna start to consolidate and form key support levels that's gonna move us up one leg at a time. So I'll give you another, um, and you can jump in whenever, Cabana, to this, but I'm gonna give you guys
Yep.
a little bit on this Bitcoin cycle 2 versus Hex comparison. Basically, if you look back at Bitcoin, it went from $2.13 to $209 in 500 days, and this is what it looks like on the linear chart. And like even in Hex, like you put Hex on linear, it looks like this kind of when you start looking at its cycles. Um, and then, you know, fast forward a little bit more, that wasn't even the top. That $200 top I just showed you is right here on this chart. Then you consolidated sideways for some time. Then price went all the way up to like 1100, 1156, 84 in 740 days. So I think this little green circle down here is $2. This up here is 1100. Like, Hex is more of a store of value and less of a utility token. Ethereum gets dumped all the time because people need Ethereum for gas. People need Ethereum to run their smart contracts. Yada yada yada. People are trading it for NFTs. Like there's so many other applications. Like ETH is more like an oil, so that ETH's price appreciation in the next bull cycle is going to be artificially lower due to gas demand and generally that they can see that Ethereans can see huge returns in ERC20s that they would not get on ETH. And this is the same reflexive type of system as you saw with Bitcoin versus ETH in the 2017 cycle, where ETH massively outperformed. It's also a function of how close is this value closer to like the average wage of a regular person. So if a regular person can put in $500 to $600 from a paycheck and get thousands of something or hundreds of something, that's a lot better than buying like 0.0001 of a Bitcoin. First of all, that doesn't do anything to the price chart, but it's just not good. It's just not a good look, and it doesn't drive these kinds of price cycles. So if you actually put the this is what I had just like a quick off the cuff. If I'm saying, if you've been watching me for the last few days, I've been saying that 12 to 20 cents is like a high probability for like our next stop on Hex. If you did, let's just say you do get that, I'm not saying it will, just saying if you did get that, like that would be like a leg, and then maybe you consolidate there for some time, and then we more try to like track what Bitcoin did in its second cycle, where you can see on data point 1 here, you had the peak, and then you had data point 1 on Hex, which was its first bull market peak, but yet Hex outperformed Bitcoin on its first cycle. And so the theory here is that data point 2, you get up there, you create a sideways action, and then you get a final blow off top where it will also exceed the top in the same way for data point 3 for Bitcoin. And like anytime you get over this 10,000 X line, you're talking $30 plus when you get above that line. Because this is basing it off the starting price of Hex, which was 0.003, so 0.3 of a cent. And so when you do a 10,000 X off that level, you get that $30 target. And ultimately, like due to the low liquidity and the amount of adoption that you could get and the amount of new eyes coming on in the form of like Pulse Chain, like look at Pulse Chain exists because of the economic energy that was stored and found in Hex, right? So like the Pulsicans or whatever you want to call them, those guys are going to take portions of their profits and lock it up into T-shares just because we understand that system. That's our dojo, and that's the whole reason why Pulse Chain was invented, was for the Hexicans, right? So not to say that there won't be value in other places on the chain, or like it won't have other, price positive things happening, but just that ultimately the value will end back in the best performing asset, right? That's Hex. So then if you take this even one step further, and this is probably the last thing I'll show you from these, is like what happens if you just copy the fractal out. Like this is literally if you just take Bitcoin cycle 2 and you just go from here, you consolidate here between 5 and 7 cents for a little bit, and you run up, you play with that 20-cent line, consolidate there for a little bit, and then bam, bull market hits full effect. You get your first top, and then you get the double bubble top, and then I mean that means that you could be seeing crazy high price targets, and it would be a function of hundreds of thousands of new users, not just 100,000 stakers over 3 years. You'd want to see that number get to like 1 million stakers over the next year to year and a half. So it's on us as Hexicans to teach the system, to show the value of the T-share, and like remind people that in store of value cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Hex, when the floors are set, and they're not coming back down here. So do not get left behind, and do not be so greedy to like not share this information with people so that they also don't miss out. Because everyone that doesn't get in at the lows, that's on you for not going out and trying to help them understand where Hex is going.
That's just pretty to look at right there.
Sure is.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
I mean, look at it. If I'm wrong, fuck it. We hit a buck to $5. If we even hit $1, like off the lows. By the way, I called the bottom, like maybe not Jenkins 5 months in advance, but it was around that time. Like,
shout out Jenkins, who was in the chat.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out to Jenkins for being on it. He's not alone. There was a few people. Storyteller also, I saw him.
I saw him on Twitter. Yeah.
So there was a few people that was like saying, "Oh, bottom's in." And by the time it was like getting the middle end of January, I got the tweet somewhere. I was like, "Dude, that's it." Like once we broke that 3.2 cent range, I was like, "That's it." I felt pretty good about that, and sure as shit, man, bottom's in. So Yeah,
I
if
think
you're watching people that's calling for like half a penny or like sub penny, like whatever, like you better recheck your sources.
yeah, like what feels worse, like holding something that just has a horrible chart and it goes down, 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 but you still hold it and you believe in it long term, or something that you want and you're watching it get away from you. Like that, I think almost is worse in my opinion. And
100%.
especially
It's like nothing
yeah,
more painful than like we were saying at the beginning of the show. Remember, Kirk was saying how he sold early on Monero, $30, and watched it go to 300 plus. That
right.
hurts, man. Like I sold a Helium Network token at 289 and watched it go to $50 plus. Like that hurt. You know what I mean? Like, and so like ultimately, what Hex does is it forces you. It doesn't force you. It entices you to lock up for insane yield, and then you just don't hurt yourself, right? You can't make those bad calls. And if you ladder it out properly and strategize around that, or if you buy like the Maximus DAO perpetuals to get out of the gas fee problem, like there's so many ways to get exposure that you don't have an excuse. Like there's ways to do this for sure.
Yeah. We have more questions in the chat that I've bookmarked. Let's see. Debased. Any reason Richard Hart no longer streams? I mean, he just streams less. I think he's just not at his normal streaming location. And by the way, I'm reading things. Pulse Chain is going rather well. Had a tweet from KDP pulled up for Jason's question. Any news on Pulse Chain V3? I mean, pretty much you know what we know. I'm just going to read KDP's tweet because she just gave an update earlier this morning. It's really all we know to this point. It's been 5 days since Richard's last Pulse Chain update. They restarted the Aragon node sync. Sync would be past stage 7 now. V3 testnet running privately. The Aragon client list is the last hurdle. So bullish on not hearing from them about any issues since the node syncs restarted. So that's your Pulse Chain update. Give me Liberty. What's going on, my friend? Best show in the land, Hexyland, or is it Hexico, my friend? Hex Coiner wants to know. I mean, anything is possible. So I guess you'll agree with me there, Axis. But 11K BTC is still a possibility. I mean, sure, anything is possible, but likely? I'm not thinking it is. What's your take?
Not likely, I don't think. Like I said, Black Swan, sure, but like, why even account for that? Like at that point, that you should just position yourself better so that if you did get a Black Swan, you could buy that dip. Because everything comes back. We live in a world of infinite amount of dollars. That doesn't make sense.
Here's more of a thought provoker from Debased. How does dilution of choice play a role in this, considering loads of DeFi staking products constantly coming out versus just ETH and Bitcoin dominating the market back in 2015 and 2017, like we look back on there?
Mm.
It's a
I like
thought
to,
provoker. Yeah.
for sure. I like to look at the ETH dominance chart when I'm measuring this. So notice how ETH dominance has just been sideways for a long time now. And what I think is happening here is that the cryptocurrency market is starting to find value in other places. And I think ETH has its flaws. And I think ultimately what you're going to see is ETH start to break down in dominance against new EVMs. Pulse Chain comes out, you start to see this thing fall in dominance in the same way that Bitcoin did back in its early days, right? You look at Bitcoin market cap dominance, it basically started way up here. Similarly to ETH, let me show you what it looks like. Look, it's still got this similar, like kind of like diamond pattern looking thing, and then all of a sudden you break that 97% level in like the creation of ETH in 2015, and then Bitcoin's just never been able to recover market dominance like that. And even now, to this day, it struggles to even get back up above this little yellow line down here at 43%. So I think, yeah, it's just a natural consequence of innovation in the space, and that monetary energy is going to go into the highest returns, going to get diversified into different assets, and you want to find the end point where the money is going to end up at the end, right? Which is usually the store of value or the highest yield. And if you can find the thing that does the highest yield and is a store of value by protecting you by the increasing share rate and compound interest, you can hedge against all this other diversification, right? So there is a solution, and we found it with Hex, right?
Yep. What else? What else we got here? I guess some more Bitcoin / grayscale questions. So Jules asks, the grayscale trusts are selling heavily discounted right now, and this is because shares are being sold to cover the debts incurred by Genesis. What happens first? End of the discount or the bull?
Mm-hmm. Let's look at it. Where did I put that link? I actually had this up today. It's like a 42% discount right now. And it's weird when you look at it on the chart. See if I zoom out to the beginning. Notice how in purple it's the premium or discount in purple, and then like in green and blue you get Bitcoin price effectively. So the blue line is the holdings of the trust. So you can see that the holding valuation is at $21.99, but like the market price is 12, so it's like half off. And then like the actual premium or discount is at a 40. It looks like a 46% off right now. We're in a unique situation. Ever since here, that was I think the 30. Was that the 40K top right here? I think right here this was like the 40K top, I think. And everything over that was just like seemed like it was leverage or retail or something. But yeah, ever since then we've never been able to recover. And I don't have an answer for that. Like I don't really know when this cycle ends or how it ends. Like maybe wouldn't it be hilarious if like this never recovers and that yet the market and the spot price leaves it behind because there's just no way to prop up a paper product against and like somehow they have to start liquidating Bitcoin, which is an actual natural redistribution of Bitcoin back to the market in order to close that gap to buy back their own paper Bitcoin. That would be like a conclusion that could be made from this if large firm isn't willing to step in and start buying this crap up. So I think this is it's fun to watch because you've never been in this situation before where paper products just have no control over the market, right? You can't manipulate a limited supply like that. I guess I didn't really answer to whether or not it's going to come back and close the gap. I think some of the smartest people think that it has to close the gap for Bitcoin to recover all the way, but I'm not so sure that this product can't just fail.
Ewok asks, Axis said Richard Hart kind of got his 11K call correct. What did he mean?
Yeah, so there was a tweet, and you have to go back, dig through there, and look on Twitter and search for at Richard Hart win. It was a Binance. I think it was a direct call out to CZ Binance, or maybe it was the guy that runs Kraken, where it said thanks, or look at that wick, or thanks for the 10K or whatever, and it was a sell order with a wick on one of the exchanges all the way down to 10K when we were at 64K. So whether
I remember that.
So he got 10K way back then. If you look at, let's say he made that, he pressed the sell button, market sold, and worked through all of the liquidity on the entire exchange in dollars, and wicked the price all the way down to 10K. Like imagine that. He kind of got it at the top, right? Yeah. Right back here.
And he also hedged his 11K call. I forget which stream it was, but he said if we don't get 11K, like 15 might be the bottom, I think, due to money supply or something like that. So he kind of hedged it a little bit there. And I mean, really, the guy was calling for 11K from like 60 some K. So you get below 20K, you win, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a tweet if you want to look at it. It's literally this little video clip of him saying, maybe they printed so much money that we only get 15K. So
there you go. Bam.
He hedged his bet, right? So,
yep,
definitely.
Jules, you didn't have to do that. I was going to get to your question anyway, but I appreciate that. So the show appreciates it. It was Kraken, I believe, thin order book. Yep. Yeah, so Axis posted the tweet in there. Matty Allen, what's going on? He had a good.
What up, Matty?
Another great
Cheers
show.
to Matty for putting on an amazing Hex conference this year. That was an amazing showing, and we had like all-time high viewership, so that was pretty badass. It was a lot of fun.
And a bear. Yeah.
Bottom was in, but there we were getting all-time high viewership. Pretty badass, man.
Yeah, that is awesome. And I think he's
Make sure you go check out Hex Miami, right?
Expo Miami or something like that. So throw the link in there, Maddie. You're an admin. Another Bitcoin question from Dre. What do you think of the echo bubble theory? I.e., we go to mid 40, upper 40K BTC, then back below 20K.
Yeah, I didn't know that that's what it was called, but there is reason to think that you do get that, where you get a rip up to some key levels. Like, remember I was showing on that one chart how the green line was at 39K. Well, it would be bad because it would be just like this back here. This is assuming that the price played out the same way. You basically would rip straight up to like the mid 40Ks, and then you'd come all the way back down past the lows, right? Same move. But you don't really want to see that. It is possible, and it's also possible to do this move in a different way too, right? So there's that. What happens if you do like off the bottom here, you do something like this where you do this, but you do it smaller so that you do like a couple of these in a row. Something like, maybe just something like this where you do like a really weird, like something where like you're doing a couple of those in a row, like where the price starts to stabilize over time and that the market gets more efficient and there's more demand and there's billions and billions of dollars pouring into crypto, into Bitcoin. Play that trading game between, because if you put in, I don't even want to use like hundreds of millions or billions of dollars. If you just buy some Bitcoins at 20K and it goes to 40K, every coin that doubled in price, you made 20 grand, right? So when you can start trading that kind of liquidity and get those kinds of returns, that's a very desirable market, and one that's never been really before seen on planet Earth, because of the manipulation and control of the different like gold and silver and some of these other ones that might act like that. But yeah, I mean, it would be cool to see. I could totally see this thing going, like Bitcoin can go up to like 39K, and then come back down and retrace down to 25K. Totally possible.
And really, that seems like just that chart right there looks like a natural. What is that? 33K. Test the underside of that former floor there before, perhaps consolidating a bit or coming back down to 25K if we rest here for a bit, and then going back up and smashing it. So
yeah, you can do something like this, some overperformance, or better yet, what I'd love to see would be a nice clean parabola, which we haven't seen in Bitcoin for a cycle, or that would be super awesome. You wouldn't be like this. It'd be much less aggressive. You'd be lucky to get 90 to 100K, but just to have some sort of a clean, parabola. I don't think you're ever going to get these kinds of moves again where they're like nice and juicy, clean moves like this, because there's so much paper Bitcoin. And there's, for lack of a better, or something we didn't ever want to see was just, controls or manipulation of supply and on centralized order books and stuff like that. We may never get we probably will never get a nice clean parabola like that on Bitcoin. But Hex, though, because it's 95% traded on chain, I fully anticipate the cleanest, most beautiful parabola on the way to like $10+ per coin. So
nice. Yeah, Maddie just landed in Salt Lake City, so I think there's a meetup there tonight with my man Hexray Vision and a bunch of other Hexkins. Hex meetups going on all over the place. Had Orlando, now we got Salt Lake City, we got Miami coming up. Good stuff.
I did want to touch on one other thing quick, and then feel free to grab another comment. I just said this on this stream with Randy the other night, and a lot of people really liked this analogy, and it's these self.
It's a very good stream,
in the beginning.
By the way. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out after this one. That was a good show. Sorry, go ahead.
Yep. So you're gonna get a lot of that here, anyways. So this first initial impulse move was like the initial, like, okay, Hex is real, right? And then you had that first wave of sellers, okay? And so this first wave of sellers was, a few thousand people, maybe a couple thousand people selling billions or tens of billions of Hex on market, just dumping the price down, right? So they were selling tens of billions of coins. And then you had like the second impulse wave. Once all of those guys were sold out, and those couple thousand guys sold those tens of billions of coins to the next 10 or 20,000 people, those coins were then redistributed and it set the floor and set the table for this next impulse leg up. Okay. But then after you peaked in that cycle, you had that next seller wave, which took 500 plus days to complete. And what was happening here was there was not billions of coins being sold, but hundreds of millions of coins being sold for 500 days by like maybe 10,000 or maybe 5,000 people, right? So there was more people selling hundreds of millions instead of less people selling billions and billions of coins. So this is how this redistribution phase works. So like as the market starts to bottom, you have a whole new wave of investors that comes in and accumulates those coins. So now you have like maybe a few thousand, 10,000 people selling, but they're selling to 50,000 people at this point, right? So that you're selling less coins over the full sell cycle to more people every time. And this is what redistribution looks like, right?
And this, I know you're streaming with him sometime soon, but Big Pep says this a lot. He's like, a lot of the guys that are going to make this next run, they're going to take that hex from a lot of these 100 million dumpers, or before it was billions. And it's just the cycle that flows through. So yeah. Watch as I EES my 160 million hex live on YouTube wrecked. It's a classic, Mudhog.
Let's see it.
Oh,
I want to see the candle. I'll put my order in right live.
Oh man, Steph, what's up? Happy Friday. Looking forward to V2. We shouted that out earlier. Sticker app V2 coming soon in quotes.
Yeah. Steph, I keep refreshing. I'm waiting. I'm like, when is it gonna go live?
A little more testing, I believe.
I'm cool with doing the test version too, right?
Yeah. And I think he said they were full of testers, so they got enough on that front. Anything else? Yes, Black Hexagon was mentioning the meetups. So the Hex Cruise, yes, and she's got some of that itinerary in there. There's like a yacht party, I guess, or something like that. So tons going on, I think, around that week in April. So I think less than 2 months from now, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it's the week, like April 24th to the 28th, I believe.
Yep.
And I'll be there too. So
nice.
I did sign up for that.
Crypto Gains Club, if you need it. See, now we have applications for testers of Staker app. Submit your application in the chat, even though I think he's good to go.
Yeah, no, he's not taking anymore for sure. He's made that very clear. No more. Got plenty of tests. He probably didn't even need to really test it with people. It's just like a first look.
Yeah.
If you want a full written review on my website, just let me know. I'll do like a nice pretty screenshots. I'll talk it up. But
there you go. And come on happy hour again, Steph. We haven't had you on for a while. Walk us through it. In 2 weeks, wink, wink, or whenever it is. Nick Green, the Hex Machine. What about incentive tokens? So talking a little PulseX, I guess. This is the last question I have here in the chat. Wonder if it will be a throwaway token like Richard Hart implied in the past, or if it will have tokenomics. I'm guessing it will have some sort of tokenomics. Yeah, Maddie's stream touched on it a little bit. I think that was on Tuesday night. Myself, the Orca, K4K, Motley, we had a stream, I think it was like a year ago. So if you type in the search bar like Cabana Crypto closing the loop, we were trying to figure out ways for that incentive token to actually have actual tokenomics instead of dumplamentals, which most of those kinds of tokens have. So our guess is as good as mine. We're also speculating on this wallet now. Richard kind of, threw a little mysterious tweet out there talking wallets and owning your crypto and the key ring, perhaps key ring wallet. I don't know. Somebody named it that. So what else? So I think that takes care of most of the questions in chat. We're caught up there. I did have a couple more things to ask you before we let you go. And cool, Steph is down for coming on. Let's schedule it. Yeah, all right. You said schedule it. So, if you know a date when Staker app's going to be out. No, just kidding. We'll get together. We'll get together after the release for sure. So yeah, I think it was on Randy's stream. I heard you talk about this, and I wanted you to bring this up and go over this for the audience here, since different times, different audiences, whatnot. But I think it's a good topic to talk about, especially because a lot of hexagons have Hedron, and how the hex price is kind of like, I think you called it like rubber banding, if you will, because hex will jump out, and then you have the ICOSA, which is somewhat lagging right now, and then that eventually plays catch up a little bit. And you have thoughts on those relationships?
Sure. Well, here is some interesting developments. So if you don't know, some crazy crap happened with the Hedron and Hex pair. So there was a 52 million hex of OA liquidity tied to Hedron. And that was effectively going to act as like a bid support. And that zone was roughly in this range here during the time it was pulled. So the OA came in and he pulled this liquidity out of here. Now, my theory was before that happened was that that as Hex rose in price, Hedron would the price of Hedron might not be able to rise as quickly, so that it would fall into this liquidity zone right here on this bottom right chart, would be the OA wall, and so that it would give Hex stakers a chance to use some of their mad gains and interest to acquire tons of Hedron at these prices that then they could use to get more T shares off the auction market. What happened was, for our big run up from 4 to 6 cents, the OA pulled that liquidity off. So that pulled 50 million hex off the market forever. And what it did is it unbinded the price movement of hex from Hedron, and now they flow more freely against each other now, so that Hedron can no longer just sit in the back seat and ride up with hex while hex moons. Hedron has to come in with its own bids and volume to chase. So the good side to that is that if you're looking to buy cheap T-shares, as Hedron price crashes down, you can buy Hedron for increasingly better prices, and then effectively your dollar price going into buying HSI stakes off the auction house would keep getting better and better and better due to your dollar cost averaging into Hedron at lower and lower prices. The issue that the interesting thing that I see happening here is that when Hex finally does decide to make its next leg up, on this chart here, you could see Hedron continue to slip in Hex terms, bottom right chart. But eventually, the discount of the T-shares on the HSI auctions is going to be so great compared to the T-share price off market that you're going to have some sort of a new accumulation zone, and then a rubber banding effect where the whole ecosystem tries to chase Hex upward to regain dominance again. And so effectively what you have here is, over the long term, you have this kind of like long rising channel. And Hedron is basically going to become massively discounted, and then the value will be basically then priced in against Hex, and then maybe it can then start to kind of regain, after that discount gets so juicy on the T-share prices off the auctions.
There you go. So you can blow up that support line way down there, and that will give Steph a target to sell into. But don't break that support line, Steph. He says, "What timing, Hedron talk? Sell me into it, Axis. Happy to change his mind."
I would be, Steph, if you want to help everybody out, just bring the Hedron price all the way down to here.
There you go. There's your target.
And then we'll all buy it here, and then we'll just buy the cheap T-shares off the HSI auctions, and then we'll create some sort of a demand for it.
We'll all be happy then.
Yeah.
There you go. And anything on ICOSA, or did you?
ICOSA made new lows against Hex, and this is like basically a function of, this is just free money that people have gotten. And even though it's super rare and the circulating supply is not that big, we just had a bunch of 180 plus day stakes end, and so then that interest is being sold to chase the Hex price up, or just to turn it into dry powder to try to chase a coin that goes up. And the reason why I think that's true is because this last bear market told me that a lot of the Hexagons did not have strong hands. Like, a lot of them would much rather chase green candles than I would have liked to admit in the previous bull run. And that's okay.
Or
like, everyone's
strange coins, Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. there is a lot of them too that came up out of nowhere, and some of those coins you're going to be waiting 8 years to turn a profit. So be careful. Obviously your best bet is to ride it up with Hex. That's got the best liquidity set up right now. You can see that here. Got the best price performance right now. I guess maybe one thing I could do is like show you guys downside potential here on Hex. Just in case hey, we get a pullback. Maybe you wouldn't want to buy it at 5.9 cents. Maybe you'd rather buy it at 4.2 cents. Let's say. It's my belief that this structure is going to hold, but that's just a belief, and there's no guarantees, right? So your downside price targets are potentially looking at that 10% off 5.3 or 20% off at 4.8, and you can see that on the liquidity bands here that 5.4 to 5.3, there's about 300 grand of liquidity here where some large player can come in and accumulate on the USDC pair. And then you get down to that 4.2 range, and there's some really big liquidity sitting back there. So any kind of push down through that zone, if people are willing to take that risk, I mean, there's like millions of dollars of liquidity sitting here. You're going to need help from the macro markets to really like push Hex down. Like everything's going to need to crash, right? So, right now on the ETH pair, Hex versus ETH, you're sitting in this little gap here. You got some bid support behind you. You got some, potential sell pressure in front of you, but this isn't really a lot of ETH. This is like 20 ETH per bar, right? So there's not, you got like $2 million on this whole entire fat thing in the middle here of ETH. So yeah, I mean, it's just, the setup is good, man. It's a good setup. Price is like starting to decorrelate, and it's a race to the upside, man. Max Pain is up, not down. Like we had plenty of time to buy down.
Bobble guy, anything that makes more T-shares is what I do with Hedron. All right. Mudhog, my
Man.
onboard picked up 400 T-shares at auction.
Not gonna lie, I'm kind of jealous about that. Not gonna lie. What discount price did he get on those? I'm curious.
Tell us, Mudhog, if interested in sharing that info. I guess last thing on my list before we call it an evening, because we're coming up on 2 hours here in a bit. So you gave us the downside scenario. What about the upside scenario? And I know Big K isn't here to, in his FOMO pants, but you've had some pretty bullish calls on the upside potential for Hex. So let's have dessert, shall we?
We shall. So what kind of time frame do you want? You want like, out till May, or do you want like through the bull run? Like what are you looking for a time frame?
Let's go, I guess, a year, like 2024, and then that should get us into bull. I mean, it's anybody's guess as to how long that'll run, but really, I mean, captain's choice, man. Whatever you want.
Okay. Well,
I'm sure the numbers get way more exciting as time goes on, but
yeah. Well, we did
whet the appetite near term. I say near term in Hexagon life, like a year.
Yeah. So yeah, right. Yeah. Well, okay. So the way that I usually do this projection is I use a Fibonacci retracement tool to try to find, kind of like what the potential would be as far as just price target. But to do like a time frame analysis, we'll use the Fib time zones. And so if you go from top to top and project that out, these blue lines represent the cycles. So let's go with that. Okay. So I did a chart on Twitter, I think. See if I can find it, just so I don't have to recreate it here. Basically, that suggests that we've started the new cycle. And that, even though we went a little bit down in price here in 2020 or end of 2022, that the bottom was actually marked here, and based on historical volatility, right? And so I had Crispy Man from Hexfire.io create this historical volatility chart for me, and you can see the yellow line is price of Hex, and then the blue line is the volatility. Well, typically throughout the entire life cycle of Hex, the volatility never really crossed below this 1.0 line right here, right?
Mhm.
But until this period of time here where Hex became basically a stable coin and traded between 3.1 cents and 3.3 cents for basically 32 days or something. And then it was met with this all-time low in volatility, and that's when the God whale stepped in and pumped the price 2 cents in 2 days with 4 million bucks of USDC. And what that did is it officially marked the bottom. And what he did was he enticed the capitulators and the mega dumpers to finally take that liquidity and exit the system full force, and they were able to push the price all the way down to 1.7 cents over like a 60-day period, I believe it was. Actually, it looks like it was closer to, yeah, it was about that time, like 45, 50 days. It took them to push the price from 5 cents all the way down to 1.7 cents, like basically a 3.5 cent decrease in price. But on the volatility here in blue, you actually made a higher low. So that the bottom was actually marked when Hex became a stable coin there in October of last year. And upon the Godwell's re-entry into the market and just injecting that liquidity and re-injecting interest into the space. And that was like a key moment, because I remember that was the first time for a long time in the bear market that I saw that much activity on Twitter. So that's important because that means that there's big believers in the system and that they're willing to support the price. And yeah, you got a higher low on volatility, and then you started to really see bags, like when the volume hit its lowest, you started to see big injections of money, and then we kind of formed a base between 2 and 3 cents, and we broke a lot of our major downtrend resistances, and then it's just been up in volatility ever since then. And that volatility, this blue line, isn't going to slow down. You can see that because like we're in no man's land as far as liquidity on the USDC pair. Price can move a lot easier because there's only like a couple hundred grand here, where you can just 200 grand up pushes price 5 to 10%. 500 grand pushes the price around. So it's like not a lot of money can push the price around quite a bit, which means the market's not more volatile. You've got that injection of interest. Okay, so now that we've established that the bottom's in, um, you can see that we're now in a new cycle, and this cycle is set to close sometime around July of next year based on Fibonacci time analysis. And if you go back to this chart, I have marked out the bottoms and the tops. So I took like the first top, the start of the price, down to like that second top. And you can see like you get top, then a top, and then you get a top before a continuation into the next blue line, which is another top, which on the next blue line is like a bottom into another top at the next blue line. So you only have one instance of a bottom besides the second time when it was a bottom and a top, basically in the same candle. These are weekly candles. And then, you're going out forward, that next cycle analysis at top. And now you had a bottom, right? So now that theoretically, if you're following some sort of a pattern, we're heading for a top sometime in 2024 summer. So there you go. That's as far as time frame. Next summer you could see some form of a top. Now, the way I think about that is like, well, wouldn't we just kind of repeat history a little bit, and kind of do some amazing things in the short term, so that on this low liquidity, while we have this environment where there's just not a lot of money in the pools, and there's 190% more ETH and USDC than there is Hex in the pools. That means there's 50% more ETH and USDC liquidity than there is Hex in the pools. There's just not that much Hex. There's like 60 million Hex versus like $7.5 million of ETH and USDC. So it's stacked against ETH and it's stacked against USDC, and Hex is the beer's diamond right now. That's nobody can acquire and nobody's really willing to sell, because it's going to be accumulated by that next wave of innovation. So any kind of downside should be mitigated. So basically, I just take this fractal out, and let's just see what happens. Like, what if you get a kind of a slower move, but you get like some sort of an injection in this low liquidity, and you really start to get a FOMO moment. Let's say hypothesis is that, as I stated previous in the stream, Bitcoin could run all the way to 39K. Well, what do you think Hex is going to do? It's going to rip. It's going to absolutely rip, because it's already negatively correlated to the market. So either it pauses and Bitcoin rips, probably not likely. Probably Hex is going to front run it and run harder. And so then you could even get up into that 12 to 20 cent range, form some sort of a resistance up there for a short time, going into next year. Maybe you go up, test the all-time highs. If you factor in pulse chain launch, like, you can easily, on this liquidity setup, it's the same as it was back here when we were at 4 cents. You get the same amount of dollars in the pool. It was like you can get right back up to the all-time high, no problem, if people really start to chase. And if you had user adoption and stuff like that, like price can get up quick. And that's why I keep telling people, like, be careful
Highest
not
of
to get left behind.
stakes, pulse
Yeah.
chain. Yeah. And
Yeah, the whole list of
we've
things.
tripled just on V3 speculation. So that gives you a little taste of what you're showing here.
Yeah, I mean, this thing can literally just go right back up to like that 20-cent range, right? And then you're there, and then it'll be a mad fight over ETH whales trying to accumulate positions from 12 to 20, knowing what's coming in the bull cycle. Even if it's even better if you get FOMO that pushes it all the way to 50 to 60 cents, and then you consolidate back above 20 cents for the rest of the year. And then look at your timing out here. Maybe you get your top or a double top sometime going into next summer, right? Which sets up this whole move, this whole basing out above 20 cents or that 12 to 20 cent region gives you a base to form going into the next cycle. And as I showed earlier in the stream, if you follow this Bitcoin fractal, it's basically suggesting just that there will be a double bubble, just as there was here with Hex. So some food for thought.
And I see your $100 per hex fantasy. How many days is that? Like 1800? What year
Yeah, it's
would that
probably
be?
around what is that? 1800 divided by 365. Or let's see, what day were we on right now? Like 1200.
Yeah, I think so.
So 650 days from now, a year and a half, 2 years from now, you know. Yeah, a couple years, you know. That puts you in that 2024, 2025 timeframe for at least hitting this first target. I would say it was a for sure bet. And a lot of those targets you can use Fibonacci analysis retracement to see kind of where that can go. So if I take a Fib retracement from the first high, let me zoom in here so I can really see this. This is where it gets cool, because you can actually get an actual number from it, right? Of what's it done before. You go from the high to the low. Looks like you got like, let me use a different chart just because it's ugly. Got to make stuff look good. High to low. Okay. 3.618 was met on the first cycle, on that first cycle top, after Godwill came in and pumped the price, right? So we know that it went to the 3618. What did it do the second cycle? Let's use the big payday data point down to the low. Okay, that cycle we hit the 2618. Actually, we overperformed it by 45%. Okay. So if we went from the 3618 on the first cycle to the 2618 on the second cycle, we could assume that we'd hit maybe the 1618 if it's the law of diminishing returns off this next cycle. What you do is you measure the all-time high to the recent local low. And it gives you a price of $4.20, $4.16, 1618, and then plus you got to add 45% for overperformance, like in the last time. That gets you up to $6. So you're looking at a $4 to $6 hex, and that could be leg one, right? That could be the first leg of a double bubble. Not to say that it won't or it could, but if you did hit the 2618 the second time, just for FOMO pant moonboy shit, you're looking at $100+ hex. And the reason why I think that's possible is because due to Metcalfe's law. So Metcalfe's law basically states that every time you double the number of users, you 10x the value of the network. The way to visualize that is like this. If you have 2 telephones, they create 1 connection. If you have 5 telephones, they create 10 connections. If you have 12 telephones, they make 66 connections, right? So the more connections, the more valuable the network becomes. And so if you go, I think I did a tweet on this actually recently. Let's see if I can find it. So I actually have the numbers. But I did the math on if you got up to like 1 million stakers. Like if you did, like let's assume that you got about 100,000 stakers right now. Let's see. Okay, here it is. So if you have 200,000 stakers, your 60 cents to network is your base network fair value. If you have 400,000 stakers, you're at $6. 800,000 stakers, it's $60. If you have 1.6 million stakers, you're at $600 hex. And then that's assuming that, you get the 10x multiple on every time you double the amount of stakers. Remember, these guys are locked in, so they can't sell without taking a penalty, right? So I think one of the reasons why I think that, as you add stakers, price can do amazing things is because of Hex being a Veblen good. And I've talked about this on Maddie's stream for the Hex conference. Basically, that when a Veblen good goes up in price, demand goes up with it. It's not like food, where like if food gets really expensive, you're just going to buy cheaper food, and demand's going to go down for that food. Hex is like a luxury good that it's a money printer. So like as the money printer goes up in value, it prints more interest, or it prints a higher price of interest. So then if you tell your buddy you're making this much with a money printer, then they want to buy a money printer, and then they're making that, but they're also pushing the price up, and then they're telling their buddy to buy it, and then that's pushing the price up, and now everyone's making more interest. That has this like spiraling up effect on price. And so I guess that's kind of where that Metcalfe's law is coming in, and you can actually see proof of it here, where people love to buy expensive shit. Like as this yellow line went up, that was stakers. It was going up with price. The largest, steepest increases in stakers happened at the all-time high when we went from 25 to 56 cents. And that's when people have their aha moment. Once you see dollar hex is when you're actually going to see the flood of new users. And on low liquidity, we can get it to $1 with just 40 whales, man. It's like, so it's so for sure built in, it's set in the code in the math. Like there's just, it's amazing. Like it's basically a once in a lifetime opportunity at getting into something that is really going to do amazing things based on all of these scientific principles. So I hope that was good. I appreciate you for having me on, Cabana. It's been a pleasure. You're awesome. I love watching Happy Hour. I love being a part of this. I wish Kirk could have stayed because he would have loved all this stuff. Maybe he'll come back and watch the replay. Appreciate all you guys in the chat.
Yeah, he's probably listening, or will listen later. Yeah, man, I appreciate you coming on. I mean, I can't get behind like $100 hex, like, because my target is like $1.50 this cycle. I'm conservative. I was conservative last cycle too. But hey, that if I'm wrong, I'm happy to be wrong. And you were.
Oh, just to be clear, I'm not calling $100 hex. I'm just saying that it can be done based on past performance. Right. So
and with a long enough time frame. So yeah.
Correct. But you know what, dude? Like you got to remember, we did the 10,000x on price with legitimately only 60,000 stakers, because you can see 118,000 stakers are in the system. Most of those are like multiple wallets owned by one guy. Like so,
and that's been those stakers, I guess, have been growing slowly in the bear, which is also bullish. So
and so I mean, if you really do get like a flood of new people, if you did really get 900,000 brand new people to buy $1,000 a hex per person, like that's at a bare minimum, not including like BlackRock coming in and buying their first billion hex or something. Like I'm just assuming that hex goes bigger than any of us ever imagined. Like why shoot for the moon when you can go to the stars, bro? Like think of like how much value could be earned on a monthly stake or a quarterly stake if you're staking 100 million hex or a billion hex, and to try to acquire those coins at the lowest price possible. That's why these are going to create such strong floors, is because someone like a hedge fund or a BlackRock or a large investor is going to come in and have to buy $100 million of this thing so that they can one day earn the infinite yield off of it, right? And that's why you can create floors on the $1.50 price target and go much higher through retail speculation, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Chad, what was my target last cycle? I moved it when we all got bowled up. So I think eventually I said like 75, maybe $1. But that was after we were, kind of in bull land. I think it was like first like 25 cents and then, kept gradually moving it up. But just, it is what it is. It's for a new asset at the time going through like its first major cycle. Who knows what we could have expected? I mean, I saw, what did we see, like $27 and stuff like that, and I was just like, But I guess
here's another way to frame it. Do you think that when Bitcoin went from $2 to $11.50 in 740 days, do you think there was 100,000 people in Bitcoin?
That early?
Yeah, I'm just curious. I don't know.
Yeah.
Was there 50,000 people?
Yeah.
Do we have 50 or 60,000 people right now? Maybe max. 70,000 maybe.
The thing that just stops me and keeps me grounded is the amount of money that it would take to get to a figure like $30 hex or 25 or what, just there, let alone $100 hex. I mean, you're talking trillions and trillions of dollars.
Well,
And
I got
it's
something
like,
for that.
okay, hit
Okay,
me.
let's look at this chart. This will be the last thing I'm going to show. Another chart from my chart set for the day. So you're welcome. So
Bonus round.
basically, between 4 cents and 22 cents, you went from $3 million in the pool to $6 million in the pool, but you got a 5x price increase. Tell me how the total value locked in the pools went from 3 million to 6 million, but the price went up 5x. It's a function of the market makers absorbing ETH and USDC and pulling the hex off market. So as long as there's good market makers providing liquidity and pulling the hex off market in ad infinitum, you're basically setting up on basically the same situation here, where the liquidity can basically stay relatively flat, maybe double from 10 million to 20 million bucks in the pools, and still get from 6 cents to 32 cents just by that same price action. And then you'd get your, you touch the all-time high quickly, and then you get the actual real new liquidity coming in, either ETH participants or USDC, right? So that's getting you to your $1.50, I believe. Some similar situation. Not factoring in, does the economic energy get divided amongst two chains? Do the EHEX and PX get paired together? These are all questions I don't have answers to. But I do know that there's huge opportunity in this space. So $1.50 would be more. I'm be cool with that, man. I'm cool with 60 cents. I'm cool with 30 cents. I'm cool with 20 cents.
A new all-time high I'm cool with. But yeah, 20 cents. Let's do baby steps.
We're so biased because we bought it at the bottom. Just like we bought the bottom on Bitcoin at 3,200, just like we bought the bottom on ETH at $82 on Coinbase, like in 2018. We bought those bottoms. We never imagined Bitcoin could go to, I mean, maybe we did. I mean, I still think it can hit $100,000 or $1 million one day, potentially in like 50 years, 20 years. I don't know. It can hit those high price targets. It's just going to take a lot longer,
No, I'm in total agreement there. ETH
to 5K, who would have thought, from 88 or 82?
It'll be 10K one day, and I think far beyond that, and flipping Bitcoin in the process, in my opinion. But we'll see on those. So,
yes, sir.
Gold key,
all right, brother.
$1.50 is bearish. LOL. All right, man. So we're gonna close it out, man. Obviously, we can see your website right there, but just tell us where we can find you really quick before we call it a night.
Sure. Yeah, go on Twitter at AccessAlive. Most of you guys probably know me by now, but if you don't, I post charts on there all the time. And if you want to dig into the website, go to accessalive.com. Check it out. There's a lot of free content on there, so for sure.
There you have it. Well, thank you, man. This was absolutely awesome. Like, just literally 2 hours of just jam-packed stuff. So if you missed any of it, go back. We talked pretty much anything and everything, especially all these charts that he shared there. So thanks again to Big Kurkowski, and of course AccessAlive. And chat, you guys were on fire tonight. It was felt like the original bowl. It was like a chore to keep up and save all these comments and questions for Access. And so you are greatly appreciated. Love you guys, and we should be back next week, normal time. And one more time, shout out to Access, man. Thank you so much.
You bet, man. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
See you at $1.50, brother.
Yeah, yes. Let's do it. All right, bro.